Hi, welcome back. In the last video, I summarized the features that are necessary to be present in blended learning instructional materials or lecture notes that is used to facilitate learning in online classes. And I made mention that there is a template that Kampala International University use in creating these instructional materials to make sure that all materials and lecture notes that are designed across all programs and departments are unique and customized to Kampala International University. Every material must have a header and a footer. The header will contain the course code and KIU logo and the course title. The footer will contain the page number at the bottom of the page. Other features of the instructional material will include the headings, which is going to comprise of their font and their colors, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and so on and so forth. How their paragraphs should look like, and the text background and text colors of the contents. Also, this template includes how the structure of the title will look like, the introduction, the learning outcomes, the in-text questions, the in-text answers, the summary, the self-reviews, and every other content inside that instructional material should be unique and customized to Kampala International University. It is also going to include how the boxes are going to look like, how the figures and smart arts should look like, how the case studies, examples, and formulas are going to be colored, are going to be paragraphed, and the type of colors that are used as the background color. All of these are inside the template of Kampala International University. This template is going to be provided for designers to serve as guide when they are designing their course materials. This is an example of an instructional material that has been designed using this template. You can see that it has a header. Inside the header, we have the Kampala International University logo. We have the course title and the course code also in the header. Then this is the course topic, study unit 3, which is talking about the accountability in school management and administration. We have the introduction here. You can see that the introduction is having just 2 paragraphs, and each paragraph is having just 2 or 3 sentences. In the last video, I said that your introduction should be catchy, should be brief, and it should give an insight into what they are going to learn without necessarily talking or teaching them the content. Then we have the learning outcomes. The learning outcomes here says that on completion of this study unit, you should be able to, one, define accountability and enumerate its key components, two, explain the forms of accountability in education, and so on. If you notice here, you will see that each of these learning outcomes is customized and is relating, talking directly to your learners as if they are there on one-on-one. This is one of the features of instructional design in e-learning. Also, I made mention in the last video that headings are very, very important. They are not compulsory, but they are important to show the structure of the learning materials that designers have designed. To enable these headings, navigation is also very, very important. If you come to view, you will see the navigation pane. Once you tick this navigation pane, you enable it, then you can see the structure of the courses as they are arranged. Other features of instructional design are boxes. Boxes are used for definitions. You can use boxes for some other things, but in KIU, we use boxes mainly for definitions and key terms that we want the learners to be conversant of. The colors, the paragraphs, the structures of how these boxes are created are already provided in the templates of KIU, which is made available to all designers. Another feature here is the use of smart art. This is a smart art. You can use smart art to denote lists. Instead of listing, saying elements of accountability are one, transparency, answerability, and enforceability. You can use a smart art to denote that. And to use smart art, you will come to design. No, you will come to insert. And under insert, you will see smart art. Once you pick smart art, there are different kinds of smart art. There are those that can be used for lists, for processing, for cycles, for hierarchy, for relationship. Depending on what you want to show, any one of these, look for the appropriate one that fits what you want to do, and you can use them accordingly. Another feature of instructional designs are assessments. Assessment can be in form of formative or summative. This implies that some of the assessment are going to be used as continual assessment, while some are not going to be used. For example, an in-test question or an in-test answer is not going to be used as part of the assessment that is going to be graded, but they are there to make the learners to be conversant of what they need to have known or what they need to have noted. And once these questions are provided in text, in between the text, designers will also provide answers so that when the learner sees the question, for example, what is accountability? If he or she could not answer it by himself, he can see the answers following the questions, but making it to be more conspicuous, it is boldened and there to make learners to be aware of what they need to know. This is also another box. You can see the structure of this course. We have study unit 3, we have 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 3.5. Each one of these are in conformity with the learning outcomes. You can see that here we have 5 learning outcomes in which the structures are also created in accordance to those learning outcomes. That means once the learner finish the structure 3.1, he or she must be able to already fulfill the learning outcomes 3.1. Then he or she can come back and say, have I actually accomplished this learning outcome or not? You can see that all of these structures are there to guide the learners. In e-learning, information should not just be dumped inside lecture notes. You just don't copy a textbook or any text you see online and you give to your learners word for word like that. No, you have to re-customize, you have to re-paraphrase, and you have to structure it according to the curriculum of the course that you are designing. You can see that you can also include links if you need them to view other pages beyond the the lecture materials that you have already created. This is allowed in e-learning. You can see we still have another in-text question, another in-text answer, and so on and so forth. Now, at the end of this instructional design, we can see that we have summary of study unit 3. The purpose of this summary is to summarize everything that has been discussed inside that study unit. For example, let's assume that the learners have read through all the texts of the whole course and decided he or she wants to do a revision. He doesn't have to read through the whole manual. He or she can just come to the summary, read the summary, and it will be like an accountability of all the things that he has learned. Another important aspect of a instructional design is the glossary of terms. Glossary of terms are there to define the keywords that has been used in the body of that lecture material. We have self-review questions and self-review answers. These are also part of the formative assessment. They are there to guide the learners so that they can be able to assess themselves at the end of reading through the study material to see whether they have actually accomplished these learning objectives or not. And the learning and the answers to these self-review questions are also provided inside the material. However, in the print format, these self-review answers might not follow instantly because in the print format, when all study units of a course has been matched together, these self-review answers will have been moved to the end of the print format for learners to access. And finally, references and additional reading materials is also very important when you are doing instructional design. It is meant to provide insights. If your learners want to read more on the subject topic, then they can know what to refer to and where they can find it. Now, before I will end this video, I want to talk about how you can actually create these learning materials. In the last video, I made mention that there are steps to follow. The first is to have the curriculum as provided by the institution that is in charge of providing curriculum. For example, the NCHE is in charge of providing higher education curriculum. Let's assume this is a curriculum that is provided by the NCHE. An instructional designer will first get his hand laid on this kind of curriculum. You will check it, go through it, look at the topic, the titles, and what the learners are supposed to know. In the detailed context here, course content here, it has been listed that this course should cover things like concepts in academic ethics, principles of public service and ethics, issues in academic ethics, legal approaches and administrative issues, and so on. So the first thing an instructional designer is going to do is come here, look at these contents, look at these topics, then you come and check the recommended listing materials. You search for them online. When you find them online, you read more about them. Look for other materials that are also in that are also related to this course topic. You juxtapose as many materials as possible. Then, after you've juxtaposed, you extract out the learning outcomes inside each study unit. And once you have done that, then you get started. I said in the last video that you can also use Google search engines. You look for topics, you post them into your search engines, you go to open educational resources, you look for materials, then you start compiling. Don't forget, plagiarism is also very important. However, since this is a teaching material, the rules of plagiarism are not that as tight as if it is a thesis or a capstone project. You are allowed to use materials you see online, but you need to paraphrase and you need to cite these sources. So with all this, I believe that I have created a guide by which every course designers can create their lecture note in accordance to these templates and be able to come out with a useful and quality course material that can be used in Kampala International University for our e-learning projects. Thank you very much for listening. Once again, my name is Akindele Tosin. Have a nice day.